Thank you, Saul. Kind words, I appreciate it. Let's get right to it. For me, like many of you in the audience today, it all starts with my family. I think those are the moments that we treasure in life the most. Moments like this. And this is my youngest, Grayson, who's 10 years old, and he and I are at played this summer in a Little League tournament out in Long Island at a place called Baseball Heaven. Pretty cool place, simulated professional ballparks, AstroTurf, lights, scoreboards, PA, it was all videoed. Pretty cool for a 10-year-old kid, I can assure you. Well, you might have guessed from the smiles that are on my son and myself there that, as luck would have it, my kid hit his first home run, right? Right over that green monster that you see in the back. And I can assure you, it didn't get any better for him, and more importantly, maybe one of the greatest moments of my life. And unfortunately, what you don't see there, you don't see that I'm halfway through a series of panic and anxiety attacks that would completely take me in a tailspin and try to rob this moment from me. 30 years ago, after my college career at Ohio State, I was diagnosed with OCD, obsessive compulsive disorder. And for the last 3 decades, I've fought a debilitating illness that tries to rob me every day, even as I'm standing here in front of you folks this morning. For those of you that aren't familiar with this illness, it's characterized by recurrent and unwanted, unpleasant, obtrusive thoughts that come into your mind. And for me, unfortunately, it's always in the form of bad. Bad father, bad husband, bad son, bad partner, bad person. And those bad thoughts bring on tremendous levels of panic and anxiety that's almost indescribable. As I travel and speak, people always want to ask me, what's it like? Well, here's the best way I can explain it. Imagine if last week you're at the Patriots game at Gillette Stadium and it's halftime and you take your 4-year-old kid and you go to the concession stand because you want to buy a hot dog, and you're in the concession stand and you turn around for a minute, right? Because you want to put some hot dog, some mustard on the dog, and you come back, no kid. I don't think there's anybody here who can't understand that level of panic and anxiety. And what's crazy is I get exactly that same level over something completely ridiculous or arbitrary. And what it does, it forces you into compulsions. And when I'm talking about compulsions, I'm not talking about hand washing and checking and some of the things that have been popularized on TV. OCD is a hot TV disease today. For me, it comes in the form of mental visualization and repeating in my head and trying to see things a certain amount of times in a desperate attempt to negate those negative thoughts that are coming to my mind. But the worst of it is that it will attack, like all mental illnesses, what you value most in life. And for me, that's that. My kid, the ball goes over the left field fence. He's coming around first. I don't know who jumps higher, him or me. I'm like this, right? I'm about to cry. I'm so excited. He's coming around second base, and I can already see what's going on. His teammates and coaches and everybody associated with the team are there waiting to hug him and God knows what, right? And I'm already in my pocket taking out my iPhone, right? Because I'm going to capture this life moment, right? As he touches home plate. Attack number one. Attack number one because I feared that I was a bad dad because I had missed my son actually touching home plate himself. So now what happens? My wife says to me after the game, hey, Jeff, make sure you get on the ball he hit. I don't know which goddamn ball it is, so I go up to one of the coaches and, I get the ball, and I don't know if it's the right ball or not. Now I'm a bad husband. Next thing. I go to the souvenir shop after, right? Because I'm going to get all the garb, right, to commemorate this thing. And I'm in the corner, and I'm asking the attendant, I kid you not, quietly so nobody hears. I say, hey, how far does that fence go? Because I want to know how far he jacked it, right? Guy next to me, big guy, says, that was my kid that gave up the home run. Bad person. Get in the car. First person Grayson wants to call is his brother, is my brother, his uncle, because he played college baseball. Can't wait to tell him. Well, come on. I called him right from the stadium as soon as the thing went over the fence. So gets in the car, gets his uncle on the phone. My brother, not the greatest move. He says, "Oh, your dad told me you hit a home run, blah, 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 blah." My son turns around to me, because I told him he didn't call me. He says, "Dad, you're a liar." Then we head to the restaurant, and the family, the team's going to have dinner. My kid's the center of attention, right? It's awesome. And unfortunately, his dad, me, is MIA. I'm MIA because I'm going back and forth between the restaurant and the bar in the same spot in each place with my eyes closed like this, desperately trying to visualize a previous time in my life where something like that had happened, where it was okay, so this time it was okay too. Well, I can assure you I did not come to BIF today for you guys to feel bad for me. All right, this is not a pity party. That's not my thing. The good news for me was I got diagnosed. I got diagnosed, and with a diagnosis came medication, and through painful exposure therapy that I do to this day, a loving family, a support network. I've been able to have this wonderful life. 3 beautiful kids, beautiful wife, and it all looks great on the outside. You know, what you don't see is I'm fighting like crazy inside the demons that I got to battle. But as fate would have it, about 20 years ago, I'm coming home from work one day, and somebody calls me and says, "Hey, Jeff, you know, painting might be good for you." I never painted a day in my goddamn life, right? But when you're desperate, you know what? You'll try anything. So I reroute, go to the paint store, pick up a bunch of paints. I come home, and you're all familiar with Forrest Gump and how he ran? Well, you are looking at the Forrest Gump of painting, right? I never stopped. And it would literally change the course of my life. It would give me a sense of control that the mental illness robs you of. It would provide me this blank canvas, if you will, for my own vision and creativity. I think everybody here in the audience knows, and we've heard others talk even today, that no matter what you're doing in your personal life or your business life, sometimes you can't control what's going on. But when I painted and I created, you know what? I was in control, I was the boss, and it was invigorating to my soul. It also turns out that I was able to, through my own images, express what I couldn't maybe through words. And then last, and certainly most unexpectedly, I can assure you, for a guy who's never taken a lesson, and to this day I don't think I have any clue what the hell I'm doing, I was pretty good at it. And that in turn would lead to yet another unexpected career as an artist, as people, I think they connected with my story, my honesty, my kind of whimsical images and use of color and funny names and faceless characters that everybody assumed was the face of mental illness and that I was a really deep guy. Well, I'll let you in on a little secret. Little did anybody know I couldn't draw a goddamn face. But anyways, that in turn, my work found its way to some private collections, some galleries, somehow to the Grammys. And it got to the point where, you know, people wanted to buy my artwork. And, you know, to be honest with you, I just gave them the goddamn stuff. So enter my cousin, Matt Kaplan. And Matt had a small little marketing company on the side, and he came up to me, and he, in a very kind way, explained to me that that was not a great business model for my art career. And, you know, so he offered to be my agent. Think about how ridiculous that sounds, an agent, right? So now I got an agent, and he concocts this one-man show. Again, one-man show like I'm on Broadway, right? And 2 months later, he has this show, and he comes up to me at the end of the night, and he's all excited, and I say, "How'd it go?" And he says, "Hey, dude, you're not going to believe this." He says, "We sold $15,000 of artwork tonight." I said, "Holy crap." He said to me, "What do you want to do with the money?" And I looked at him, and initially I didn't have the answer. And then I said to him, "You know what?" I said, "I paint. It makes me feel good, maybe to help somebody else." That's it. That's it. 2 weeks later, I show up at a children's psych unit at a hospital that not only was I a board member of, but I was a patient. And I walked on that unit, and I looked like a cross between, had a bag of supplies over my shoulder, right, with brushes and canvases and paints. I looked like a cross between Santa Claus and a robber walking on this unit. And I got on there, and to be honest with you, I wasn't a doctor. I wasn't an art therapist. I was just a nobody, just an ordinary guy who wanted to try to help. So I did the only thing that I was probably qualified to do. I told these kids my story, and I tried to give them, some hope and maybe add a little humor to a really difficult situation. And I think from the very beginning, I was caught off guard. I was caught off guard at the impact it was having, not only on the children, but the therapist and the docs, but maybe most importantly on myself. And many an evening, I'd lead the class, and I'd go and I'd cry because of what I saw, and I think all of you would if you were in those rooms. But this one night I went home, it was a different cry this time. This time I was crying because I knew I had stumbled on something that was kind of part motivational, part inspirational, part you can do it all, wrapped in this message of hope. So I did the only logical thing. Over the next 12 months, we went to basically any place that wouldn't kick us out to take the program, ran out of $15,000, and then, fortunately for me, Rhode Island's a small state, which you'll find out here as you collide, and Saul Kaplan and the folks at BIF found out about the work that we were doing. And Saul invited me to this stage right here, where I stood 3 years ago and spoke about my dream and my vision for how I thought we might be able to rethink and reimagine and change the dialogue and the conversation around mental health in this country, and how we might be able to someday help millions of people find peace of mind through expressive arts, just like it had for myself. Well, from the moment I walked off this stage 3 years ago, my life would change. I'd meet people that I never even dreamed of. I'd collide with people that I probably had no business colliding with, and it would literally change even the trajectory of my dream. And the first person, when I walked off that stage, it led to this ridiculous chain of events that I can't even make this up. The first person that walks off to me when I come off the stage is Tony Hsieh, the CEO of Zappos. And Tony says, "Hey, Jeff, I really love what you're doing and what you're talking about. Will you come on out to Zappos?" I'm out there a month later talking to 2,000 people. I've been out there 25 times in the last 2.5 years, and I just got back 2 weeks ago from a taco and llama party, which I'm sure all of you have been to. Do what you got to do. Next thing, I'm off in Big Sky country in Montana. I got invited to an innovation summit. They had some of the leading thinkers in the country coming, and they somehow found out about me, like I belonged to there, right? And of course, as fate would have it, the first day, I get paired in an exercise with Tom Gruber, who's the co-founder of Siri. And the exercise that he and I are paired with is called Prototype This. Like, I'm going to bring anything to that tandem. I can't even turn on my goddamn iPhone, to be honest with you. All right, next thing you know, I'm off in Santa Fe at a ranch owned by Wayne Hughes of Public Storage. The ranch, I kid you not, I Googled it. It's bigger than Providence. And I'm running around with a 10-gallon hat with a lasso, and I'm embarrassed to tell you this. I think I was actually faking a Southern drawl. And I was walking around this ranch, and I was just talking to anybody that would even listen to me, Then there I am in LA, and I end up at my first lingerie show. My mother was so proud of me, I really arrived. And there I am meeting with one of our partners, Hanky Panky, talking about a PeaceLove-inspired line of intimate apparel. And it occurs to me, I'm sitting on this trade show in front of all these people, and there's all these naked models, and I'm sitting there with a black see-through pair of panties like this. It was pretty ridiculous. And then I'm off in Vermont and had a wonderful opportunity to spend the day with Jerry Greenfield from Ben & Jerry's. And he says to me after lunch, he says, "Hey, kid, come on, I got something for you." And he takes me over to the local Ben & Jerry's, and he goes behind the counter, and he kicks out the other attendants, and he makes me a customized 5-scoop ice cream. being served ice cream by Jerry at Ben & Jerry's. Pretty cool, huh? Well, all kidding aside, while I was running around and gallivanting and spreading the gospel as best I could, the team back at PeaceLove was working hard to answer the question that at this point we were being asked hundreds of times a week from both individuals and families and communities all across the country and even the world. I love PeaceLove. How do I get PeaceLove? Can you bring PeaceLove to us? Well, these guys were smart. They were really smart. And they came up with this amazing program called Creators. And Creators was a program where we were going to train and equip frontline professionals to bring our life-changing expressive arts programs to communities in needs all throughout the country. This past February, we just finished our first training, and by the end of 2016, we would have trained 120 creators in 27 states around the country, bringing peace of mind to tens of thousands of people. Just a couple of weeks ago, I had the privilege of sitting in on one of our creators' workshops, which was pretty cool for me. You know, and I sat in the back kind of quietly, and the session ended, and a young girl came up to me and introduced herself as Rachel. And, you know, I've been doing this long enough, I can see it in people's eyes. And she says to me, you know, Jeff, I just want to say thank you. You know, I've been coming to your creators programs for 6 months, and how much it's meant to her, and that it had changed her life. What do you say? Well, she then proceeds to take this out of her purse and hands it to me. And she explains, she says, you know, Jeff, I was a counselor this summer at a Girl Scout camp, and they had a workshop that was called Your Superhero. And she said, my superhero is PeaceLove. And she took this shield, and she said, I want you to have this. This is my PeaceLove shield. Well, I don't know any more inspiration a guy needs to follow, you know, his dream and take on whatever obstacles that might be in front of you, fight whatever demons might be needed, because in my opinion, it's all worth it because of people like Rachel. Now, I wish that I could give every single one of you one of these shields. But what I did is a small token of my appreciation, and as I painted this exact duplicate of that shield. And I'd like to present this to Saul Kaplan and the BIF community as a small token of my appreciation for believing that all this was possible. I thank you. That's yours. Hold it up, baby.